backlog, it's like I almost view the backlog as like a little bit of a missed opportunity. I guess it's just to maintain engagement.
Yeah. I think if you sign the NDA on this one and you go to the website, you're going to know in 5 minutes if this is for you.
Correct, but it sounds like it's a cooking site that provides recipes.
Episode of Acquisitions Anonymous.
Hello, another episode of Acquisitions Anonymous.
We don't have 100% beard anymore.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Acquisitions Anonymous. I'm Mill Snell, one of your co-hosts. Me and Heather have a really fun conversation today with Chelsea from Acquisition Lab. She joined us again, and we talk about a fascinating content site. It's a recipe content site that's been around for 10 years, which is a long time for content these days. And they are doing $3 million in revenue, $2.5 million in SDE. It's ridiculously high margins. And they have a 6-year backlog of recipes stored up. We're scratching our heads the whole episode going, why is this person selling this business if they basically have this thing that just prints money? They get into a lot of detail about their metrics, their email list, social media following, click-through rate. It's a really compelling business, and we're dying to know more about what is their niche, how have they maintained so much relevance when there's so much competition for content and eyeballs and attention. We talk through, is it even financeable? Heather has some reasons to believe that it's in that no man's land of too big but not big enough. And so if you've looked at anything like this, would love to get your feedback, would love to get your input. It's a really interesting segment of the market. Hard to justify paying up for sometimes, but this one I think has some kind of secret sauce. Stick around for a quick word from our sponsor, and thanks for joining us.
All right, taking a quick pause here. I have something to tell you. This is Michael. I hate bookkeeping. I hate bookkeeping. I hate doing HR. I hate doing all that kind of stuff. But for bookkeeping, I have found a solution. It is my friend Charlie's business called CloudBookkeeping.com. So that's CloudBookkeeping.com. They are your perfect partner if you want to get bookkeeping out of your hair and focus on making your your customers happier and more successful. So please give them a call. Call Charlie, cloudbookkeeping.com. Tell them we sent you. They're a great way if you're a business buyer, if you're a business owner, you're tired of hassling with getting your bookkeeping done. He's got a whole fleet of people that are well-trained and work for him. He's located here in San Antonio, so I can tell you because of that, he's awesome. And they're a great partner for you to potentially call to help with all your bookkeeping needs so you can do the important stuff in your business rather than worry about getting your books right. So give Charlie a call, cloudbookkeeping.com. And now back to the episode.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Another episode, Acquisitions Anonymous. Heather, Chelsea, so good to see you guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chelsea's a special guest with us today from Acquisition Lab, and she has great input. So I'm completely outnumbered now. I've got a lender and somebody who does serial acquisitions and assisting people who are looking for businesses to buy. So you guys can show off your smarts. We have a fun episode today that is kind of unique. It's online. It's content based. I'm going to share the screen for people who are following along online. And these businesses, they can go one of two ways. They can have like a lot of strength to them, or they can be like very kind of weak, I think, from a quality of revenue standpoint. But this is on Quiet Light, and it's a 10-year-old passive recipe site, 6+ years of future content written and photographed, 50 million page views over trailing 12 months. And they have 2.5 million in SDE, seller discretionary earnings, which is shockingly high margins. Yeah. But it's a content site. So revenue of just over 3 million. They say their income, which they also say SDE up here. So I think they're just talking about SDE, is just over 2.5 million. They're asking a 4.91 times multiple. The asking price is $12,550,000. They say this site was launched in April of 2014. It's a recipe website that has built a massive following and database of recipes with over 50 million page views over the last 12 months. The owners have invested heavily in content. There's over 2,500 published recipes on the site, and they have another 2,000 recipes that have been created and photographed that are in the queue, which works out to about 6 years of content. A new owner will take over the business with 2,000 articles to use and build the site out further. The brand has a huge social media presence, 474,000 followers on Pinterest, 479,000 followers on Facebook, 61,000 on Instagram. They have a strong SEO profile with a domain rating of 74 via Ahrefs, 92,000 backlinks, and 8.7 thousand websites linked. They also have a 90,000 email list via ConvertKit and a 44% open rate. These are pretty strong metrics.
Yeah, for sure.
Growth opportunities include creating short form videos, improving SEO, which hasn't been a focus until recently, implementing an affiliate strategy, and building a robust Pinterest strategy. The owner has a team in place. They work around 4 to 5 hours a week, which has allowed them to take themselves out of the active management of the business. And they talk again about their backlog. And Ryan Condi is the broker on this. All right. What do you all think about this?
Like you said, strong metrics on the website. My one question is the founder sort of the face of this business? Are they the person saying, these are my recipes? They've got a team. They've got a huge backlog. I mean, a huge backlog. That's a lot of recipes and photographs. So that's all great. I just wonder if you ran out of those and that founder is no longer part of the business, is that it? Or you have to pivot to your face or to a different sort of branding away from an individual? A lot of these recipe sites are focused on somebody, a person. And that's my only question mark.
I think the clue that says that you're right, Heather, is the photographed piece. Mm-hmm. So, anybody could, theoretically whip up a dish and take photos of the process, and just, the backlog is helpful, but it's not, irreplaceable. But because they emphasize it being photographed, I wonder if this is a personality driven content site. Maybe it's like a celebrity, or maybe it's somebody who kind of fell into celebrity status through social media and they're trying to remove themselves. Why else would you spend all that time and energy building that backlog prior to a sale?
Right. They could have been a winner of one of those cooking shows or something like that, and kind of spun it off into this, which is great. And it's got great margins and great revenue. But I also want to know about the revenue. Is that all advertising? They didn't really give us much information about the nature of the revenue and how much it's grown recently. But when I look at recipes online, it's usually, personality driven. You find somebody that you like, and you end up kind of looking at what their recipes are all about. But I do like a lot of things I see here.
Chelsea, what about you? If you got the sim on this and you were like, I'm stopping everything and I am pursuing this, like what have you seen that makes you go nuts over it?
I don't necessarily worry about it being a personal brand, because to me, photographs is just, it depends. Is it a cooking site or is it a recipe site? That's what I'm confused about. Site. Correct, but it sounds like it's a cooking site that provides recipes, right? So photographs is typically on these sites where it's like step by step they're taking photographs as they explain how to do it. And so is this a cooking site, or is it an actual like recipes.com where you Google chicken parmesan and it gives you the recipe, right? If it's a cooking one, then it's probably affiliate revenue, right? Where they're linking to all the products that they're using throughout the recipe. But if it's a cooking one that provides recipes, that's less of a concern, because photographed is likely probably just the steps, right, of preparing the meals. I have a member that this would be perfect for as well. I think my concern, which I never do, like I almost don't want to say it because it's going to contradict all of the stuff I've ever said to a member. Like I'm actually kind of hung up on why they're selling, which I never worry about. As a founder, I'm in year 5. I'm tired. I get why somebody would be tired and leave something really great, right? Like, I never worry about that because it's just not for us to know. They would make more money letting this ride out for the next couple of years than what they're selling it for on that earnings level. And so, like, if I could just, like, skate on 4 hours a week and make... this one is where I'm a little more like, why are they selling? Is there a health issue? Is there some bigger issue? Which, again, there likely is a good reason for it. But it's the first time ever I've wondered why someone is selling, because it's putting off so much money. And they have literally say they have 6+ years of content. And so if they continue performing at this level, they would make more money than they're asking for, right? But I do like the business, but content as a whole, this is a really high multiple for a content site, right? There's a lot, if it is affiliate based, which I guess it's either ad based or affiliate based. There's just so much like content is really hurting, right? Those businesses are all really hurting, at least in my network. Now recipes, it's pretty evergreen. So I kind of like that. Like we all use those sites when we don't know what to make with all the food that we have in our cupboard. So I do like to me, it's an evergreen type of a site. Better than like travel or something, right? That is going to get cut with discretionary earnings. I don't love the multiple.
I think the cool thing about businesses like this is like you could get into the analytics, and this is not my forte, but like they probably have some recipes that are just like viral.
Correct.
And like evergreen, right? Like they have the, like you said, chicken parm, right? And there's certain things that just don't go away. Like I've heard of people who've monetized like how to tie a tie, which is like a very, very high frequency Google search. And like if you are the YouTube video, right, that is like top of the list, you're just continuing to print money. And so I wonder, you know, what I've seen people do is, you know, they build a social media following first, and then they try and figure out what are the ways that I monetize, you know, this social media following. And content, I feel like, is the first step always, because it's low cost and it's high margin. And then you go, okay, I feel like maybe I'm missing out on something. And so you start maybe selling merch that is not a consumable product. But then eventually I feel like all these sites aspire to, or eventually mature to, white labeling a product that they can then sell. And
Agreed.
For a lot of food ones and like, you know, smoothies and things like that, it's like protein powder. It's very, very high margin, and it's kind of a high average order value, and it's easy to transport and ship. But this isn't a content site for workouts. You know, this is a recipe site. So it's hard to make one thing that is that kind of transferable or that universal across recipes. Like, because if you're just generally giving recipes, there's only so many things that kind of appeal or universally there.
Yeah. I think if you sign the NDA on this one and you go to the website, you're going to know in 5 minutes if this is for you, because it really depends on like, what is their niche? Once you see it, you'll go, oh yeah, I can do a lot of things with this, or, ooh, you know, maybe not, or maybe not at this multiple kind of thing. But that's, I think, really the tell on this one is you just got to know, you got to go to the website, sign the NDA and see what it is. But it looks good to me.
Well, and the multiple doesn't seem high when you go back and think about the stats that they shared, right? Like it's a really high performing website. It's got like the stats are very impressive, which would make me then take the value levers this way, right? Yeah. So I'll backpedal a little bit to say like the multiple actually seems, again, once I understand what number they're actually using, it doesn't feel that high for something performing at this level. Growth opportunities include creating short form videos, improving SEO, implementing an affiliate. Oh, so it's not an affiliate strategy.
Oh, yeah. So
and maybe I feel like affiliate can be two different things in this case. Like I think about the role of like ambassadors, you know, versus affiliate products, and linking, you know, hey, like use my almond milk, right? Or Silk is like, and just click through for the affiliate link. But then the ambassador side of this is, you know, are you leveraging somebody else's social media and you're treating them as an affiliate, or you are an affiliate of theirs?
Yeah.
I also like the presence that they have. I must be a creator because my mind always goes to diversifying products, but they have a pretty strong following. So I feel like a community would probably be pretty easy to roll off of this, or some kind of like personalized, you know, recipe planning or something, right? Like they've got a pretty good market. And so I think there are ways that you could potentially pivot into other revenue streams so that you're not so reliant on ads or affiliate revenue or whatever. I really like the idea, Mills, of having, if it is like a branded site, right, that I do kind of like the idea of white labeling products and creating your own product line, because again, you've got a strong market captured already, especially on Pinterest. Right.
I think a 44% open rate on the email
That's huge.
list of 90,000.
That's impressive.
Massive.
That's what I mean. Like this, while my initial reaction was the multiple feels high, it doesn't actually, based on, we talk about value levers, right? Everybody always wants to know, how do I value a business? And it's like, it's not a science, right? You kind of look at the business and you decide which direction you want to go with the value levers at hand. And this has really strong value levers. Like the content in general typically trades lower, right? Because it's a content site. And so that's why my initial reaction to the Sorry, Ryan. To the multiple being kind of high. But I think that it's, I don't know, it's got really cool things working in its favor. So it does make me want to justify or higher multiple. The content does make me a little bit nervous in general.
I think you're right. It's super crowded right now, and everybody's competing for, a limited amount of attention span. It's interesting to me that they don't do short form videos, because that's what I'm kind of most exposed to. I'm not on TikTok, but these kind of like ASMR, food videos where, people are just finding slightly unique, creative ways to grab your attention and show you, in 25 seconds how to go start to finish on a recipe. And I'm amazed that they're doing this much revenue. However, they're capturing this much revenue, and they've got this big of a social media following, and they're not doing any video. That's awesome.
And I'm really wondering if it's truly a recipe website or not. Mm-hmm. Right? Is it a cooking company or is it a website provider? I mean, a recipe provider. Do you guys know, have you ever seen videos by Tasty? So there's short little clips about cooking, right? And it's exactly what you said, Mills. I will almost always, I guess I really like food, and I don't gain weight by watching the videos of the good looking food. And so I could see this being huge if it's actually more of a cooking brand than just a recipe provider. Mm-hmm. To your point, right? You watch these little fast videos. They're not branded in any way as far as you can't see anyone, right? It's just hands. And so it's very transferable. Yeah. And so I think this business has a lot of potential, but those are all possibilities, right? There's no clear growth path for me with this business unless I come from some kind of background that is productized or introduced to communities or something, and know that I can do it really well. Everything with this business, in Chelsea's opinion, is all possibilities. And so I get a little nervous buying on possible growth strategies. Yeah. When there's not a clear one, but there should be a clear one for the buyer, right?
It's also in the no man's land of finance. Is it somewhere over? Yeah, somewhere over 2 million, but below 3 million of EBITDA. Or we're talking SDE here, but I always work in EBITDA in my mind, and that's too big for SBA, and often it's just too small for any conventional lending. So it becomes. These are challenging to finance just because of the size. And then you add the fact that it's a content site, and some lenders are just not going to like that, period, for the same risks that you've been talking about, Chelsea. So it's also a little challenging from that perspective. Let's say you like it, you love it, you want to buy it. The financing won't be easy. It'll be a little bit tricky.
It's interesting when you think about if this content converts to revenue, which it arguably does very easily. Mm-hmm. The backlog, it's I almost view the backlog as a little bit of a missed opportunity. I guess it's just to maintain engagement, right? Mm-hmm. Why not flood and put all this, on your page so that you appear in more searches and convert to more revenue? And it's probably because part of the way that they figured out how to stay engaged is emailing actually valuable content on a weekly, monthly, whatever it is basis. And so, I'm amazed at that much of an open rate, because you subscribe to something like this because you Googled and, they showed up organically in your search, and then you're like, oh, wow, this was good. Or, I'm really impressed with their website, or the simplicity of it, or whatever the niche, appeal is. But then 6 months goes by, and I never keep opening emails, from things I subscribe to that long into the future. So there must be something really unique or novel. And, most of these sites find success in a niche. It could be, gluten-free, it could be paleo, it could be allergy friendly or heart healthy or whatever it is. And I'm just so curious, how they've been able to do it. And they've been able to do it for 10 years. This is some staying power for something that is usually very kind of fickle.
Yeah.
Well, and it says they have a database of recipes. And so I still, in my mind, can't grasp exactly what this is. Is it recipes.com? Because even though they say photography, it's I kind of wonder if it's original photography. Did somebody actually do this, or are they buying stock photos and provide, you know what I mean? What exactly is the business? Because I don't quite have a handle on it yet. It's I'm picturing these Instant Pot companies right when Instant Pot came out, and it's a whole company around Instant Pot. recipes, or an entire one around keto or gluten-free. You know what I mean? It's like a whole content company. But when they say it's a database of recipes and it's a recipe website, then my brain goes to like recipes.com, which is type it in and they pulls up the recipe and directions. Like it's nothing. Not nothing, but you know what I mean? It's not a content site.
It's
and so
definitely got a niche of some kind. And I, like I said, I'm sure when you find out what this is, then, you know, your brain goes, I see what I could do with this. So it does seem like it has some growth levers. I think it's still a little pricey, but you know, it would depend on your diligence, on all these metrics and, you know, and how much recent growth, you know, it's been 10 years. I would love to see the whole 10 years laid out on a beautiful spreadsheet, like the lender that I am, and look at, you know, what's been driving the revenue over all those years. So there's a lot to really dig into here that I don't think it would take you long to figure out, you know, to come up with your own valuation and whether or not you wanted it. But I think it's, you know, I think it's a good one.
I think it has potential. Like I keep thinking QuickBooks and like there's things you can do depending on what it is. But I'm with Heather. Like I would know as soon as I requested it if it was viable or not.
I just Googled and like for reference, allrecipes.com, they're stated to have around 52 million views per month. So this is maybe somewhat niche in some way, right? Whether it's, you know, diet specific or preference specific, or maybe it's regional. Like you could click on this thing and get like, oh my gosh, this is like a, you know, German food or something, like something where all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, like this is, now you see why it has some staying power and appeal to a very specific audience. But I'm always so curious to know more. And like, that's the great thing about looking at businesses. And Chelsea, you do this way more than we do. And Heather, you're still so active on the lending side. I don't get to like double click on that many deals anymore because I'm running a business, but just the cost of admission is very, very low. It's almost nothing. Right. And you learn through each iteration and your learning curve gets better and better. And I think this would be super interesting to dig into and just kind of nerd out on for a couple hours.
Totally.
I think it's interesting as our members become brokers and I start looking at their listings, like this situation where I'm like, I don't know what I can say. I am not trying to offend anyone. But I like the business. I think it's interesting, right? But as you said, Mills, everything business related is interesting to me. It's good that that I had the opportunity to start the lab, I guess.
How many members do you guys have right now, Chelsea?
We have 750 like members. That's not like partnerships are in there, spouses are in there. So maybe 500 buyers, 600 buyers.
That's a lot of different data points. And then Heather, you're working on dozens of things at any given time.
At any given time, our pipeline has, dozens of deals in various stages, all the way from just signed an LOI to in closing, fingers crossed, almost there. We just passed 100 million in funded loans in 12
That's
months.
amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so that was pretty exciting. And it's accelerating at this point. Like we're heading into the busy season of Q4 and looking at lots of deals, lots of them.
Yeah,
I'm glad we got to look at this one together.
Yeah, same. It was great.
Thanks, everybody, for sticking around and listening to us banter about something that we find super interesting. If you found this episode interesting, please like and subscribe and check out our website. We tag all the episodes based on what we're looking at. So if it's e-commerce or manufacturing or construction or, whatever niche you're looking at, we've got everything indexed now so that you can look and double click on those things and learn more. And Chelsea, thanks a lot for joining us and being a fan of the podcast.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. I'll see you next time.
Bye.